Hey everybody, Craig Silliphant here, the movie geek, but today I'm talking to my good friend, Donnie Sparrow, via Zoom, of course. We're still doing a little bit of that. Donnie is an amazing illustrator and writer, and he's got a new book coming out. I should say it's a comic book format. It's called Waiting for Wednesday. And Donnie, first, just like, what's this book about?
Well, so it's a semi-autobiographical comic book short story taking place in the late 90s, and it's sort of about high school and unrequited romance, but then it also touches on, class struggle and bullying. So it's kind of a lot of images, a lot of ideas, but that's the main thing, is sort of a lost romance type of comic book short story.
So is it set in the 90s because that's when it happened? Or like, I know I'm working on stuff right now, and I've been writing stuff that tends to be like not in the internet age, just because there's just more interesting storytelling before that sometimes.
It is, yeah. So it is very interesting storytelling, and some of the stories even just sort of explaining these elements, where it's like there wasn't texting, there wasn't even computer messaging, but it's because it's based on memory. It is a work of fiction, but it's based on memory, so it does take place in kind of the period where the memories occurred.
Right. So you obviously illustrated this book, but you wrote it as well, right? Was that like I don't want to say a challenge, but like, and I know you've done some other writing. You have a comic strip. It's called Don't Know Maybe So, right? That's what it's called.
Mhm.
There you
Yes,
go.
it is. Yeah, and
Uh,
you're exactly right. It is a bit of a departure, because even with that one, I do write and draw them, but they're single panel gags, so they're not really like a narrative type structure. So this really is the first time I've done both together.
right. And so how did this whole project come about? How did you know you wanted to do it? And like, just maybe walk me through the whole process until it was done.
For sure. So I actually pitched it to a national broadcaster as a blog piece, and it was rejected, and then I thought, well, you know what, this actually is still kind of a funny story, and so I kind of wanted to continue to develop it, and then I thought, well, maybe it'll make a good comic. And being a big fan of Canadian autobiographical creators like Seth or Chester Brown or these different guys, I was sort of like, well, what if there was somebody like me, who wasn't kind of didn't want to bear it all, but had this kind of a personal story. So that became sort of the impetus behind it. And then, but because I'm working on other projects, and particularly a long-term project for Ultimate Power Duo, who we all know, I didn't want to take too much time away from that long-term project. So I kind of put these fairly stringent limits on the look and feel of it, so that it would be done quickly. So that's why the story is kind of quite short. It's got kind of simplistic coloring, and then even the art style itself is a lot less detailed than maybe some of the other work people are used to.
Right. And so what would your measure of success be for this book? What would make you happy to see it do?
I really wanted people just to read it. I obviously I'd love for it to be a grand and big hit, but I just wanted it to be good, And so maybe catches on, maybe not. But I think it's definitely meets the standard of what I think is some of my best work. So yeah, hopefully it gets in people's hands, and maybe something will come of it. But either way, it was sort of a test balloon to see if I really could create something, and I have.
Cool. Well, I can't wait to read it. I haven't read it yet. I know I've been bugging you to make sure I get a copy in my hot little hands, but I could also take that upon myself and go to McNally Robinson, Amazing Stories, Collector's Edge, 8th Street Books, and I know it's available at all those stores. You can also go to donsparrow.com just to learn more about you and your work and everything like that. So I would definitely urge people to check it out. I'm a longtime fan of Don's, and he's done. In fact, you did the cover for my last book too. So, but I love the Don't Know Maybe So comics, and a lot of your other work that you do for just things around the city, the music festivals and Broadway and stuff like that. So chances are you might not think you've seen Don's work before, but you probably have. So the book is called Waiting for Wednesday. As I said, McNally, Amazing Stories, Collector's Edge, 8th Street Books, donsparrow.com. Thank you so much, Donnie, for taking the time to be here today. I can't wait to read the book.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. Always love it.
Cool.